So, Mysterious Genie, what about vampires?
It kind of looks like a vampire.
I wonder why.
I wonder who this mysterious person is who's going to help us get in the dungeon.
And she can't even go inside because you haven't invited her in yet.
To be fair, it's not our place, so...
I bet it will be once we go in.
I wonder why they went with, pale vampire lady color scheme for this chick. Is she secretly Risky Boots?
Yes.
Oh.
Don't give it away. I mean, what? No, you're crazy. No, that's it's risky.
Poor elephant.
I remember when we brought up on a couple of parts earlier, but I remember when they brought back her retro color scheme for Half Genie Hero specifically. I remember how off-putting it looked. Because they decided to keep her eyes completely bloodshot red for it too.
Yeah, it's always kind of weird whenever you look at games like this where obviously they made a lot of effort to make Shantae have like a full color scheme like her art, but every other character does the same kind of Game Boy Color thing where they have like maybe 3 or 4 shades of color of a similar color, like the monkey here. Like every other character in the game.
Yeah, the monkey is like 2 shades of brown.
Yeah. So I'm actually curious as to what graphical trick they did in order to get Shantae to have all the different colors.
I mean, probably the same they did for Mega Man back on the NES. Just have technically separate.
Well, the Game Boy
sprites.
Color also naturally had a larger color palette than the original Game Boy. To be fair.
That is true.
The thing is that what they probably do is that they have one palette. They probably have 2 color palettes active at any one time. One palette covers, everything around Shantae, and another palette covers Shantae herself.
I don't remember if I remember this correctly, but maybe it's a similar principle. But Sonic Pocket Adventure on the Neo Geo Pocket, they were able to get away with Sonic having that many colors because he was technically 2 sprites.
Yeah, well, that's a trick that dates back to the NES because Mega Man was 2 sprites.
Was Mega Man also 2 sprites?
Yeah, his head was 1 sprite and his body was another.
Right, so they can technically give him a larger color palette.
Yes. That was also one of the main reasons why Mega Man games slowed down so much.
Yeah, because there's a sprite limit on the NES, and they take up an extra one just by having Mega Man be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mega Man. I know. I think that's also probably another reason why Kirby slowed down a lot too, is because Kirby's Adventure, I should say, because that game had a million sprites all over the place and fairly.
No, I think in Kirby's case, it was just a matter of just being so much shit on the screen at all.
Yeah. Also, that game had like pretty involved backgrounds for the time too, so there was also that.
Don't get me started on Sonic and all the weird palette shenanigans you can get into when you use debug mode and stuff. Like,
well, I know that there's certain things like you get weird sprites with Supersonic because they just didn't give Supersonic all the animations they needed.
Well, they do now in Origin because A+ Start did.
Yeah, Andy fucking
did them all.
Made new sprites for it.
He drew new sprites for the whole game.
For Supersonic,
well, for Supersonic specifically. You know how like in Sonic 3 specifically, whenever you were Supersonic and you went on like a spinning barrel or platform, and he just became regular Sonic,
but yellow.
But yellow. He went out of his way to make Supersonic sprites specifically for that. Like, it's a small thing, but
I appreciate it all the same.
30 years in the making. Anyway, buy it again for $50.
also describe it. Was it A+ Start as the channel?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. Andy is great.
Yeah, and he's a fantastic dude.
Yeah. But also like, you make that joke, but I bet you I'm the only person here who didn't spend $50 on buying the same 3 Sonic games. Four Sonic games over again.
No, you probably spent it on another.
I mean, they're the first versions of those games that I have on the Switch, so they're also the Taxman version. So
the reason I bought it was because I want to support those endeavors, basically.
Yeah.
Whether or not Sega will actually take it to heart is another issue.
I like the idea of there being a frozen enemy that cycles between various enemies in an ice block that you have to break with timing to get the one that doesn't suck.
Oh, good, monster. You're awake.
Sonic Origins is the one where they had to change some levels in Sonic 3's music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so have you guys seen the comic where Sonic's like, oh man, you had to deal with copyright
Oh, yeah,
issues too,
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man. Man, they took out some of the music from my game. That's ridiculous. What happened to you, Pac-Man? They took
my wife.
Anyway, what they did was they
Also, biggest missed opportunity for that character. Why isn't she called Pac-Man?
Pac-Man.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Was that too obvious?
I don't know. Listen. I'm extremely upset that AB Games, that's the company, right? The shitty,
Going Miss Pac-Man.
like the shitty plug and play company. It's AB Games, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm extremely upset that like one of the best classic arcade games is owned by like the absolute worst kind of video game company.
Honestly, at this point, Bamco just needs to just shell out the money, and just buy it.
They could. They could probably buy the whole company, honestly. Let's be real, but I guess they'd rather just
Not.
have a less iconic version. Like, okay, so I'm conflicted because on one hand, they actually had to try to make a character design instead of just being like, it's Pac-Man with the bow and be like Minnie Mouse. And so, okay, like there's that.
Well, I mean,
But also, like,
it's Pac-Man with the bow was about the best they could graphically accomplish at the time, but, like, have you seen the arcade cabinet artwork for Mrs. Pac-Man?
yeah, like,
Oh, man,
I
the
don't know
original one?
why they wanted to make me attracted to a ball with legs.
It's because the arcade cabinet was the kind of arcade cabinet that you'd see in bars, you know?
I mean,
Yeah.
that's true, but the thing is that the original Miss Pac-Man and the original Pac-Man, I should say, was specifically created as a character to make video games less, like, focused on just the male demographic. Like, Pac-Man was specifically designed to appeal to women, specifically.
Which is in itself kind of sexist, considering one of the things they went for with that was like, what do girls like to do? Oh, they like to eat things.
Well, more specifically, it was what do women like to talk about? One of the conversation topics was food,
Yeah.
which, you know, makes a certain amount of sense.
It's,
The-
Well, I'm glad it was gobbling food and not gobbling balls because like, oh, that'd
it's
be
just like,
even more
what
problematic.
do women discuss? Food, sustenance.
Munching balls.
Women are like men, right? They must consume food in order to
I understand
survive.
women so well.
I think my favorite one of those developer conversations behind the scenes is why Mario collects coins in video games.
Oh yeah, because Miyamoto wanted it to be fruit, right?
Yeah, it was either fruit or some kind of food, and someone on the staff kind of just petulantly went, I don't like that kind of food. Why would I want to go out of my way to collect them in the game? So Miyamoto was basically trying to be a smartass. He goes, okay, what do you think that everyone wants? And the guy just kind of goes, money.
He's right.
I mean, I'm like 80 hours into Skyrim, and I'm still checking like literally every barrel for money and salt. Those are the
Listen.
only two important things: money and
Listen,
salt
it
piles.
might be 120 hours into Dragon Quest XI, but I damn well sure I'm gonna break every barrel and pot to make sure I get the 3 pieces of gold that are in there. All right.
I mean, you're saying that halfway as a joke, but that's literally the amount of gold I'm still getting every time I search like an urn in a Draugr dungeon. Is like 3 gold, 5 gold, 10 gold. Ooh, I hit the lottery with this one.
Do they have mimics in Skyrim?
No, thankfully.
Okay, because in Dragon Quest, like, they'll turn frickin' everything into a mimic. So, like, at a certain point, you're more likely to run into a monster than you are to get anything good.
The only danger with chests in Skyrim is that some of them are trapped, but you don't use like a trap detecting skill to detect traps. You have to use your eyes. So just check every treasure chest for like a wire sticking out of it, and then you can use your lockpicking skill to unlock it and open the chest without getting an arrow in the face.
I'm thinking, like, I think the most ridiculous one, I think it's Dragon Quest X. There's, like, a mimic that's, like a drawer. So, like, you open up somebody's closet and then it tries to eat you. Which actually is I believe the D&D mimics can do that, too, because they can be literally anything.
If you want a mimic that'll make you terrified to ever open a treasure chest, Dark Souls is where it's at.
I'm sure that Dark Souls, being the Dark Souls of video games, has mimics that, like,
Look, you open a treasure chest that's a mimic, you get instantly killed. But if you attack the treasure chest first and break it, you destroy the items inside.
Wait, so if you try to open up the mimic treasure chest, like, it's just an insta-kill, you can't fight back?
Yeah, it eats you.
That's kind of dickish. Okay, that's the kind of BS that everybody says Dark Souls isn't about. Like,
Well,
everyone's like,
you don't-
oh, Dark Souls is about being fair, and it's like, it's
you-
hard, but, like, you can learn it. And it's like, instant death traps are the exact opposite of that.
There are tactics for dealing with mimics, so it's just, something that you have to, like, learn to work around. And the game doesn't...
Well, does it at least have a telltale sign?
No.
Not really. It just looks
You
like a
open
regular
the
treasure box?
chest, it opens its maw, and it swallows you. And then your
Right.
soul goes back to the bonfire, and at least you didn't die in a combat area, because it's way easier to get your EXP back. But when you get back to that chest, you know to attack it, I think. It's been a while. I'm not sure.
No, I'm pretty sure that mimic didn't mean it.
I'm not sure if the mimic sticks around, actually.
Yeah, that's like kind of a dick move to have instant death traps in a game like that.
Yeah, I think what kills me is that it's instant death.
Like, as I was under
I
the
mean, if
impression,
it is instant death, it does kill you, John.
It does kill me, yeah. I kind of realized what I was saying half sentence, like, just commit to it.
but like I was under the impression Dark Souls didn't have instant death traps, barring like falling off of the world, which isn't something that should happen an awful lot.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm checking what mimics do. Okay.
But they attack.
They do have treasures, so they are something to deal with. If you open a mimic chest, normally it will grab you and attempt to eat you whole. You can escape its hold by repeatedly tapping L1 and R1 in order. Okay.
Okay. All right. In that
Okay,
case,
so
then
have a
there is a
chance.
way to
All right.
escape. Okay.
All right. Yeah,
Oh.
there's a way to escape.
So you in the comments, if you managed to wait 2 minutes before Ingrid's leave typing about how
I
long
know.
Lou is.
First off, you have
If
the
you-
patience of a saint.
If you throw Lloyd's talisman at the mimic, it will open the lid without waking up, so you can grab the goodies inside. Okay, so there are ways to deal with mimics. It's just, it's
Now the
rough.
question-
Shit sucks, bro.
Now the question is every chest that's a mimic always a mimic every playthrough? And can you just memorize
Yes,
that
and
shit?
they are, I think. They also count as special enemies that don't respawn. So,
Ooh, one and done.
yeah, normally when you rest at a bonfire in Dark Souls, all the enemies respawn. So the way to grind is to just kill all the enemies in an area, go back to that area's bonfire, rest, and everyone's back, and you can go kill them again. But mimics don't respawn, so... Okay.
I like how Shantae shrinks half a foot whenever she lands as the harpy. I don't know. I just find that funny.
Well, I mean, when you jump, you are supposed to sort of, like, bend your legs on takeoff and on landing. Video games, like, often skip that part because, gamers don't like delays. They'd rather be a camera on a unicycle wheel. But...
Oh yeah, no. Having a game where when you press the jump button, the character slowly prepares to jump and then jumps feels awful.
Well, I
in terms of
mean,
gameplay.
some games do it, like Uncharted, for example, and games in that style. But it feels very weighty. So
Dark Souls does it too. And I think if a game is designed around that, I wouldn't mind too much.
Well, if it's a platformer and it has that kind of thing, it's usually
Right. Oh yeah, it's horrible.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
but-
it's really funny in something like Fallout or Elder Scrolls, though, because, when you jump, you skip the actual bending your legs to jump animation and just flail your arms and legs into an I'm already in the air formation and spring off of the ground instantly. It's,
like you're on a fucking moon bounce.
it's incredibly jank. It's also very, very funny in a game like Morrowind, where your stats actually do influence how far and high you can jump. Oh, jeez. I love how in these old games, like, they couldn't just have spike graphics layered over the background. They had to have these black borders behind them, so it looks like they're spike cutout images. Death by paper cut.
The need for spikes to be intrinsically more dangerous than like lava or like enemies always kind of confused me. I mean, granted, yes, for a real person, getting impaled will definitely kill you, but also getting crushed by a laser beam or burned by a flamethrower will also instantly kill you. So
well, it's
don't give me that.
mostly just one of those things that was so common to see in games since the earliest of early days, that, like, when you saw spikes in a game, it was often the game telling you in gamer code, do not touch this space. This space will instantly kill you. You know?
Yeah. I mean, there's still, like, inconsistencies, though. Like, Mega Man spikes will instantly kill you, but, like, Sonic, they won't. You know, versus, I think...
Well...
actually, no games are consistent, because some games lava's instant death and other games are not. You know, in some games you can swim in some levels, but not in others. So, you know, video games are dumb.
The idea of instant death spikes started to phase out around the 16-bit era. I say started because, you know, some games still did it. Mega Man kept it around, so it was familiar enough that people would generally see spikes in video games and think, okay, maybe these things will instantly kill me. I'd better make sure I know whether or not that's true.
Time to throw a life into the wind and see if that is true.
All right, time to see if this game has fall damage. Character breaks free and goes, yup.
Yeah.
You see, it's so weird to think that fall... It's like, oh man, you're taking fall damage from that, but if you, like, ever, like, accidentally miss a step when going down the stairs, it's like, oh, my shins.
It's more just the human body's weirdly inconsistent with that kind of thing, because it's like, I've missed a step going down the stairs and, like, my legs hurt for, like, almost the rest of the day for some reason. But also, like, oh, I've jumped down from, like, half a story because I was trying to, like, fix something.
It's all
like, higher up, and then it's like, I'm totally fine.
It's all about the angle that you hit things at, you know?
I'm sure the adrenaline and readiness, too, also has a lot to do with it.
Well, I mean, adrenaline does, you know, prevent you from feeling most of the pain if you're, like, really pumped full of it, but that doesn't really change how much damage your body is taking. Sometimes you can get so hopped up on adrenaline that you actually do yourself more harm because you don't realize what kind of bad shape you're in. But, like, when it comes to spraining your ankle by missing a step on the stairs versus jumping a significant height and being fine at the end, it all comes down to how you hit the ground. If you hit the ground correctly, you're moving upon landing in a way that absorbs a lot of the impact and force. But if you hit the ground at an awkward angle, all of that force hits your leg in a particular spot or with a particular amount of force in a certain direction, and suddenly you have an injury that doesn't go away for a week.
Yeah, that's why if you're ever, like, falling, you want to try to, like, roll or run.
Parkour.
Yeah. Play out the momentum.
Also, high Dagron.
What the hell? Frickin' Dragoon over here.
That
This
honestly
boss is
looks like
Dragoon
it
on top
could
of
be
his
the
back.
character of a game. Like...
So this is the only time you can do this in the game.
It might be a Dragon Quest reference. Because the little dude in the top reminds me of...
He does kind of have Erdrick's hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of does. Did you ride a dragon by any point? Dragon Quest V, you rid a dragon, but, like, that didn't come out in the States until, like, 2009 or 10. Like, you rid a bird. I'm sure there's other fantasy games, you know, where you rid a dragon, though, like other JRPGs.
The image of riding a dragon has been around for quite a long time. It tends to show up in, like, fantasy novels, Dungeons and Dragons novels, where, like, you know, it's basically the ultimate sign that the plucky heroes have overcome a dragon because they've convinced this dragon to work with them or whatever.
I like that you drop kick this little kid on the dragon so hard that you can see its skeleton.
I'm more amused at the fact that this is the only time in the game where you can just Goomba stomp an enemy.
Yeah, and it's also one of the only times in the game where like you're. Well, no, I should take back because I'm not as familiar with Shantae 1 as the other games. In Shantae 1, you got attacks for all of the
You could, but they were a separate power up. Except for the elephant, which has an attack naturally.
Well, that's because its ability is to break crap.
Is to attack things, yeah.
I remember the Harpy's Talon Claw being really fucking powerful. You know, it just requires you to attack in Harpy form.
Yeah. Hello, strange person who has just been waiting out here for me.
You know what? If you've ever tried to do that...
I like this bit where it goes to the menu screen and just takes them from you.
If you've ever tried to, like, rip off a costume with one hand and reveal yourself underneath, no. You can't do that. Like, I did theater in high school, and I can't remember what show it was, but there was a point where I was supposed to rip off a costume like that. And you had to get like a specially made costume that had like Velcro on the side so you could do it. And even then it was a pain in the ass and it didn't really work. So, yeah. So sad.